Chapter 2 Hope. Royal guards cascaded out of the sky around the school, each darting about to check for wounded or dead. Princess Celestia stood alone on the half-molten stub of the tower, looking off into the distant Everfree forest. Her actions had killed every pony in the tower. A dozen students and their parents blown to plasma or buried in molten rock below. They would be only the first to die if Nightmare were to return unchecked. But still, their deaths bit deep holes within her immortal heart. Even then, she did not have the nerve to actually kill. In the fraction of a second it took for her to lunge forward, the mindless husk who had once been her best hope for saving her sister had just looked at her. It was as if there was a tiny spark of life still trapped inside the monster, so much like her own sister, trapped in the nightmare. If she did not have the will to slay this one to save the city, how would she be able to kill her own sister to save the world? The lunge had turned into a spell, wrapping around the tiny burning creature and teleporting it deep within the Everfree forest, where even the basic laws of magic were warped and distorted beyond any reason. Twilight would be jarred out of her flare, her magic spell snuffed as a candle, and she would die, alone and in agony, consumed by her magic, just like Luna. "There's something under here! Get some guards to move these blocks! Hurry!" A small cluster of guards were desperately digging at the collapsed wall of the tower annex, where the reinforced waiting room used to be until the jet of solar plasma blew off the roof in an avalanche of huge stones. The heavy building stones that were supposed to ensure their safety had undoubtedly crushed the children into a horrid red mess she had seen far too often over her uncounted years. Still, a sudden shout of joy lifted her dismal mood as a small sobbing voice was heard. Then another. She never even noticed herself moving until she appeared behind one of her loyal soldiers as they passed one small filly after another out of a hole in the wall. Only after all the small ones had been passed to safety did parents begin to emerge. She could not help but match the faces to names as they blinked in the warm sunshine. Every face took off a small pebble of weight, crushing her heart. Every cry of joy as a filly or colt was reunited with their parents gave her hope until there were only two sets of parents remaining, waiting in vain for children who would never again be seen alive. "Son," called a guard into the dark hole, "can you make it out of the hole?" "My shield will collapse if I move," came a thready male reply that she recognized as Shining Armor, the last surviving child of Nightlight and Twilight Velvet. "Did they all get out? I can't hold this much longer." "Stand back," commanded Princess Celestia to the guards, who parted before her. The rubble glowed with her magical golden power, causing half-molten stones to separate like taffy and lift into the sky, vanishing with sharp popping noises. As one shifting stone after another vanished, a pink hemisphere of magic was revealed until finally the exhausted unicorn colt inside released his spell, sliding to the ground with a crashing thud. "Shining Armor!" The piercing shriek of her niece corresponded with a pink thunderbolt of feathers, who collided with the colt at a velocity that could not have been safe. Princess Miyamori Cadenza clutched the semi-conscious colt with a fervent emotion that sent several of the nearby guards sliding backwards. "Oh, Shiny! What happened? Where's Twilight?" "Twilight Sparkle is gone." Princess Celestia walked carefully to her Cadenza's side and bowed her head. "She flared dangerously during her test. I've never seen anything like it before. She overpowered me and drew upon the sun for power." Princess Cadence gasped in horror, as Celestia continued. "No pony can contain that amount of power and remain sane. I'm afraid it destroyed her mind and nearly killed her." "Nearly?" The flicker of hope in that one word drove a dagger of despair into Celestia's heart. "I transported her deep inside the Everfree forest to break her hold on the sun, or we all would have died. There's nothing left of the filly you used to full sit. She's gone from us now. Her mind was destroyed by the power she touched, ever so briefly in her panic. You have to let her go. No! The Princess of Love turned to Celestia with blazing eyes. She's the most special unicorn I've ever known. I'm going after her. You can't bring her back, mi amore. If she is still alive by some chance, bringing her out of the Everfree could doom us all. She grabbed the sun away from me. Don't you understand? She's more dangerous than you could possibly imagine. I'm going, and you're not stopping me. The emotion radiating away from Princess Cadenza was almost visible as she stared at her aunt. I'm going with you, rasped Shining Armor in a near growl while staggering to his hooves. The falling rubble had carved shallow grooves across his back and one cheek, while dried blood caked his blue mane across one eye. But the remaining eye locked to hers with an iron determination. If Twilight is hurt, she may lash out. My shield may be able to protect us. She wanted to call out to her guards to restrain the young foals before they could pursue this insane path, but restrained herself. Deep in her heart, she knew they were right. If she had the moral strength, she would go with them herself, to mourn over the body if Twilight Sparkle had died, or to drive a blade through her heart to end her torment if she was still a danger. Instead, she sent the remainder of her royal guards to protect them. There was nothing left to do here. The rubble was silent as a tomb, with the only sounds being Twilight's parents sobbing along with the Lulamoons. The little blue filly had not been inside Shining Armor's spell when the building had collapsed. Both her body and the baby dragon were probably buried under tons of rock. The princess released her iron control long enough for one tear to fall in memory of them both, and paused. There was a spell being cast inside the rubble. It was a weak and gentle tingle of power, felt through her hooves more than her horn, almost as if the source was directly beside her. Celestia released her power gently, flowing across the broken stone blocks as a soft golden fog until it swirled and coalesced around the base of two huge stones that had fallen against each other. With the most delicate of magical touches, she unwound the invisibility spell, revealing a small blue filly wrapped almost all the way around the baby dragon, both of them tightly tucked in the shallow niche which had saved their lives. "Trixie," she whispered with relief, "it's safe now. You can come out." The trembling filly shook her head vigorously and whispered back without opening her eyes, "Spike and I are hiding." "You don't want to show your parents your new cutie mark?" The little blue filly gasped, looking at the crescent moon and wand mark on her flank. "Spike! I got my cutie mark! Mama, Papa, look at me!" Princess Celestia felt a lurch in her chest at the crescent moon of sparkles on Trixie's flanks, so much like the moon adorning her own sister. "Trixie Lulamoon, you have a very special gift. Most adult unicorns could never cast an invisibility spell on themselves, but you need to learn to tame your abilities through focused study." "I don't like to study," Trixie said with a defiant grin. "Uncle says I'm a natural." Even more like my sister than before. "Well then, how would you like to become my personal protege at the school?" "Can I keep Spike?" The little blue unicorn still had not released her vice-like hold on the baby dragon, as if she were afraid he would vanish into thin air without physical contact. "Most certainly." Princess Celestia smiled down at her new student, trying not to cry. Deep within the Everfree forest, a small, broken creature crawled under a bush and cried in her stead.